Hey, welcome back to Common Sense OT Security. Today we look at a new product that we have launched recently. It's called OTbase Snapshot. And as the name suggests, this provides a snapshot of your current OT asset inventory. And the beauty of it is that you don't need to subscribe to any long-term service. So there are no long-term commitments. And certainly there is a specific use case for this product. And the use case is you are just not that mature in your journey towards OT asset management that you're at this point in time not really interested in installing or subscribing to a full-blown OT asset management system product. You just want the data as of now. And it's not hard to guess where you would like to see this data in, and the answer is that would be Microsoft Excel. So OTbase Snapshot is a self-service portal where you can upload your discovery files. I'll get to that in a minute. And then you get a populated Excel file in return with all your OT asset details. And we're going to look at what it looks like, to look at that at the output, what it looks like. So let's first go to the product description, which you'll find on our website. And so if you go to products, then there is this snapshot entry and it takes you to this particular page here. And it's a brief explanation of how it works and what you're going to get. So we'll go through that in a second. Power BI template, it's just a whole bunch of goodness. How it works, and now this is the part where it gets important. If you are interested in this particular product, here is what you do. First, you download the discovery from our website, OTbase Discovery, by clicking the download button. This takes you to the downloadable discovery products. Then you run the discovery, and all of that was covered last week in my webcast. Just to give you a quick idea, so if you have checked it out last week, you will remember, this is the discovery software, and this is what I get. I see all the endpoints in my networks, and then I can do the drill down by clicking on any of those endpoints, and this will give me additional details, such as the make and model, the serial number, etc. And the important thing that when you have done this, that you export the results to a file. Okay, so that was the wrong scope here. So you go to the node level and then you configure the export settings. You do that somewhere down here. Schedule probing and export. So you don't need to do the schedule thing, but the destination OT-based inventory. So you set that to file, and then you specify a path. You don't need to bother with user and password because you're not logging into a real OT asset inventory instance. Okay. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind is for any network that you actually want to export, you must set the export setting. Okay, this is in the configuration settings of that network. This is this checkbox right here. And then when you click on the export button, then all those asset details will be exported to a file. And that is the file that you are going to upload to the snapshot service. So the next step, maybe go back here. I show you how it looks like when to log on to the snapshot portal, etc., and what you need to do. You upload your files, your discovery files, and then this is processed on our server, and then you get back the goodies. And also, if you are wondering, well, is that expensive? Right? It's dirt cheap. So you see the pricing down here. It's dollars per device, 10 cents for any particular software instance, known vulnerabilities, 10 cents, and control system reg modules, 50 cents. So it's rather inexpensive, and this is what you get in return. You see some screenshots here, and I can also quickly talk you through the real thing. So this is a real result file that you get back from OTbase Snapshot. It's just an Excel file, and this is like what you would call the cover page. So it already comes with a couple of interesting statistics. You see, we have a bunch of AC drives. We have mostly Rockwell products in this export set, and we have, and when it comes to operating system versions, largely Microsoft Windows 7. And then you have all the different worksheets with the goods, like with the specific entries for the endpoints, make and model, configuration data, serial numbers, the works, right? I mean, look at this, how beautiful this is, right? When it comes to reg modules, it looks like this. So you will get a listing of all the individual reg modules that were detected. And if you wonder, well, how would I be able to associate the reg modules with a particular control system reg? Well, actually, that's very easy, because every entry comes with the device identifier that you see in the first column. And you see how easy this can be mingled together when we get to the Power BI import that I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes. So then you have a worksheet that contains all the installed apps, including the date or the number of days when they were last executed. And then you have the vulnerabilities, if you choose to also select the vulnerabilities, and the network interfaces. So this is pretty much the same like this devices worksheet here. The difference is that you see a row, an entry for every single network interface or IP address. And in this first worksheet here, you might see devices with multiple IP addresses, and they show up in one row. And depending on your use case, depending on what you like best, you would either work with this worksheet or with the other, where a single device may spread over a number of rows, like what you see here. Right, so this is all for the same device, but those are different network interfaces, different MAC addresses, different IP addresses. Okay, and then just to give you an idea what you can do with these results, well, you can load them into Power BI. This is super cool, because you also get a Power BI template from us that you can also download from the product web page. So, excuse me, from the download page. Okay, so down here, you can download this Power BI template for Snapshot. You just click on download and then you got it. Okay, and this looks like this. And you may wonder, well, especially if you're new to Power BI, this doesn't look right. Well, guys, this is a template, so the data is missing. And what you are going to do is you import that Excel file that I've shown you earlier into this Power BI template. And here is how this works. So you just click on Excel workbook and select your particular input file. And then you have the opportunity to select the various worksheets here. We select all the worksheets except for info. We don't need that. And then we click on load. Okay, and then it's doing its thing behind the scenes. And all of a sudden, the data is loaded, and now it all makes sense. So if you are a Power BI user, you will know that already here in the rightmost column, you can also inspect the various data models. So you got one object here for devices with all the device data. Then you got the modules, you got the network interface, the software, and the vulnerabilities. And the beauty is that all of those are connected now in Power BI because of this device identifier. So this allows Power BI to understand, well, all those vulnerabilities, as an example, they are associated with this particular device. And then based on this logic, we can now do all the fancy reporting and the dashboarding that you have always dreamed about. So for example, if you go to the hardware dashboard, you see down here we have a device table. Let's just enlarge this. So down here we have a table with devices. Then here on top we have a couple of charts, and everything is interactive. So let's just assume I only want to see those AC drives. Okay, you click on that particular segment in the donut chart, and now the table down here and everything else changes to reflect that particular filter, that particular selection. So now in the device table, I only see VFDs, AC drives, with a couple of details, and I can always add more details if I want to. So for example, you see that here, if you can put additional details in this table, like the product lifecycle or the location ID, whatever is interesting for your particular use case. I can do something similar. So as far as the filtering is concerned, so let's just say I only want to see Rockwell devices. Then I click on this bar and I only see Rockwell devices. If I only want to see, let's just say Rockwell PLCs, then I do a control click, and then I only see Rockwell PLCs in this particular data set, okay? So everything is updated automatically, and that certainly is no surprise for those of you who have already used Power BI. And then down here, you see the various other reports. Let me just change the layout here that you can better see this. Oh, not like so. Okay, so down here, you have the selectors, the tabs for the other worksheets, if you will. Let's go to software, where you see something similar. So here we have also included a tree map that shows the geographical distribution. So all of those refer to location IDs here, or you don't need to go into that. This is something that you would already set in OTbase Discovery. Okay, so there you can also set a location ID, as you see here. Like for example, up here we have set the location ID compressor station, and I could also set different location IDs for the network levels. If I don't do that, this is simply inherited here, what I selected, what I used for the node. Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard. And again, if I wanted to see, well, where do I have that Windows 7 Enterprise? Okay, down here you see all the various devices, or you see all the various applications that run on Windows 7 Enterprise. And it's just a dream come true as far as dashboarding is concerned. When you select anything here in the app section, you see the number of installations for that particular app. You see the versions that are installed. Let's go to device firmware. Works pretty similar. So let's just say I want to do my analysis on Rockwell VFDs. So we select those two. And then you see the firmware versions, you see the serial numbers, depending on what you have selected in that right column there. And this goes on and on. So then you got the module firmware, you got the vulnerabilities. Let's just say I only want to see vulnerabilities with known exploits. Bam, you click on here. Then you see the CVE IDs, the base cores, the severities, the number of affected devices, and you see right here in this table where what the affected devices are. Okay, finally the networks. So let's just say you want to see only the endpoints in one particular network, then you can select the network here in this slicer. And now you might wonder, well, what about those very strange names? Well, this certainly, this is obfuscated by purpose. You will see the names that you assign in OTbase discovery. So that means what you see here, for example, high pressure network. This is a name that we have assigned to this particular network. Otherwise, you would only see the IP address for this network, which in this case is 192.168.10.0/24. And we suggest that you set an intuitive network name, because certainly it makes the interpretation of the results so much easier, right? So this is the name that you set here in discovery, and this will be displayed here in that slicer, which makes it super easy and super intuitive to use. And that means also, if you want to get something like that network list, you want to quickly see what is in that particular network. You know, you just select it, and then boom, you have all the endpoints with the category, the device type, and whatever you want to add, right? Again, this is just a sample, a template, and then you can, if you want to, you can add all those additional details that you find here in this rightmost column. Okay, so this is like the product that you're going to get when you use OTbase Snapshot. And in a way, you could say, so this is an OT asset inventory in Excel, but on steroids. This is not your dad's OT asset inventory, because it contains so much more technical detail that you would never be able to manually collect. It would never work. All the MAC addresses, all the serial numbers and firmware versions of the I/O modules, you could never collect all that data manually. Think about the apps that are installed on a particular Windows box, right? This is just not possible. And certainly, as the icing on the cake, you also get the known vulnerabilities. All right, so I mean, just imagine how much time you would have to spend to really nail it down, because that depends on the installed apps in the specific versions. It depends on the operating system version, and it also depends on the patches that are installed on that particular box. It depends on the cumulative updates that are installed on that particular machine. This is something that you cannot analyze by hand. It's impossible. And OTbase Snapshot does all of this for you behind the scenes. And now let's look how you would actually go through this process and use the product. So as the website tells you, let's go back here, as it tells you down at the bottom how it works. So first of all, you download discovery, you do your discovery, and then you upload the asset data files to the Snapshot portal. This is the Snapshot portal. Right? The URL is snapshot.ot-base.com. This is the official Snapshot portal. And when you go to that portal, the first thing that you would do is, well, you would not have an account, so you have to create an account. You can do that by clicking down here, sign up, and then you get the form that you would probably expect. So you enter all your details. I choose a password, and then the password or your email address will be verified, and then you have your account. Since I do already have an account, I can log into that account, and this is what it's going to look like at first, right? When you are just starting out. So basically, you are looking at a list of jobs, of conversion jobs, and obviously when you start out, this list is empty. So you would say add new job, And now you can assign a title to this job. Let's just say example snapshot job. And then you can select files. So those files are the discovery files that you have exported from OTbase Discovery. And I'm just going to use this one right here. You can upload multiple files. And when you're done, you click submit. Okay? So now your job is entered, it is accepted. And the next thing that you would do is you click on start job. And so far you don't have to pay anything. Okay? So the job was successfully submitted. Before that, you can always, add some additional files, rename the job, whatever you think needs to be done. And when you think, well, all is fine and dandy, then you submit the job. But still, you don't have to pay anything. And now the processing is done behind the scenes. And this can take a couple of hours. And in case you wonder why, this is all about the vulnerabilities, because determining which of the 250,000 existing vulnerabilities affect the devices, the configurations that are covered in your export files, that can take a couple of hours. Okay, and the other reason certainly is we are always using the freshest vulnerability information. So if there was a new vulnerability that was discovered a couple of hours ago, you will also see that reflected in your results. And all of that takes, or may take a couple of hours, right? And when the processing is finished, you will be notified by email. And now, to speed this up, because we don't want this webcast to continue for a couple of hours, let me show you how it's going to look like after that processing. So this is already fully processed. And then when you go back to the job list, it looks like this. So you have one result, one file ready for download. And then you click on show me the details, show me the goods. And this is now the point where you also are informed about pricing. And certainly you're now going to see exact pricing, because now OTbase knows your number of devices, the number of software instances, the vulnerabilities, and the RAG modules. And the good news is not only that this is fully transparent, but you can now also choose what you want to process, what you want to get. Okay, and let's just say I'm not interested in the software applications and the vulnerabilities and RAG modules. I would have to pay $204. If I am interested in any of the extras, I would have to select those, right? So the devices are activated by default, because it doesn't make sense to only download software applications if you don't know about the devices. And that means in this particular example, I would end up with $310. Then I can use a promo code if I have one. I'm going to tell you a promo code, my friends, but don't tell anybody else. So you can use the promo code OTbase4U, with the 4 as the number 4. OTbase4U, you enter that here, and this is going to give you a $300 discount. Okay, just like that. Then you click place order, and that takes you to the payment step here. Okay. So this is just a reflection of what you have seen earlier. And then certainly when I do it the first time, I have to enter my credit card details. And then only if you click on pay, then you pay for the data, and then you get the file for download, which is that Excel file. Okay. And assuming that you have already download the Power BI template, and you're just on your way to asset inventory nirvana. So the final advice that I want to give you is don't forget that the results that you're going to see in the Excel file and then also in Power BI are only as good as the discovery. And why do I point this out? So you will be able to check already in discovery the validity of those results. So for example, you might see, well, you know, there is this 1794 AENT that looks good, okay, but you might also see devices where you just see unknown other, okay, and that usually happens when you are looking at, let's just say, Windows boxes that require authentication. So for those Windows boxes, we would need something like WinRM, okay, or you would use the OTbase discovery agent to discover those devices. And for that, you need some credentials. If you don't have those credentials, you will see pretty much nothing other than, well, there is an endpoint with this IP address and that MAC address, and that most likely is not good enough. So just keep that in mind. OTbase Snapshot cannot make that data any better. So if it's unknown to discovery, it will be unknown in the results. That is something to keep in mind. And other than that, I urge you to just play around with this new service and tell us what you think about it. Maybe final thought. So this is, we have designed and launched this service particularly for those thousands of companies or consultancies, right? Who are just not there yet to install a full-blown OT asset management system that requires a subscription, it requires the installation of a whole bunch of software, etc. So this is like a transactional service where you get your present OT asset inventory as a snapshot, hence the name, okay? And that snapshot comes at a rather attractive price point. And you will get much more data than you could ever collect manually, and I promise you will be happy with that data, and you will really be able to show off when it comes to presenting your case to management, because with the Power BI template, I mean, you will just knock it out of the park. Okay, with that, I leave you until next week. Bye-bye.